You're locked in to the hottest station on the planet.
Resistance is futile. The revolution has begun.
You're listening to Rebelpreneur Radio, helping you break the rules and build the business you need for the life you want. And now, broadcasting his pirate signal
from somewhere beyond the status quo,
here's your host, best-selling author, marketing and media strategist, Ralph Brogden.
Hello and welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio. It's the show that helps you build the business you need so you can live the life you want. I'm Ralph Brogden. Today's topic is young entrepreneurship. How do you start a business? How do you build a business? And how do you grow it and use that business to create the life you want? And even though you're just beginning your life as a way of speaking, you don't have to be 40, 50, 60 years old to start your own business. Lots of young entrepreneurs out there breaking the rules and building the business that they need and creating the lives that they want. And we've got one of those young entrepreneurs on the program with us today. I'm speaking with Andre Haykal. He is a 20-year-old college student entrepreneur and the best-selling author of What They Won't Teach You. So hopefully he'll teach us some of those things that they did not teach him, so we will be the wiser for it. Andre, welcome to Rebelpreneur Radio.
Hey, Ralph. Thanks for having me on the show. Excited to be here.
I'm really excited to have you and to get your perspective. You know, I think a lot of people maybe assume that entrepreneurship is mostly for 30s and 40s and people with lots of experience. But time and again, we see that some of the most successful ventures are coming from young adults, young entrepreneurs in college or even in high school who are getting out there and making things happen. And I think that's inspirational. I think hearing your story will be very valuable to our listeners. So before we get into what you do, tell us a little bit about your path and your journey. How did you get started on this road to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, I'm just your typical college student right now, 20 years old, from Binghamton, New York. But I get this question a lot, obviously, just where I started and how entrepreneurship kind of came into my life. And it really started from like right away because my dad has always been an entrepreneur. He was born in the Middle East in Lebanon and migrated over with his family when he was a teenager, didn't do great in school, and all he knew was entrepreneurship. So he's been supporting our family. I have 7 other siblings, so I have a big family that he's been supporting through entrepreneurship his whole life. So I've grown up watching that. And then on my mom's side of the family, all of her side has been entrepreneurial as well. Her dad my grandpa started a big small business locally that has grown into like every city in the United States market-wise. And so having those 2 spheres of influence have kind of just shaped me into, only knowing entrepreneurship and nothing else, and almost like pressuring me into like having that next big idea or kind of continuing with that legacy. So at an early age, I think the earliest venture I remember was in high school when I started my first business. I've just always wanted to be an entrepreneur, start businesses, be creative, innovate, and also technology obviously came into play as I got older and older with all the new tech that's coming out that enables you to do more and innovate more and create more. So entrepreneurship has just always been something that I've been surrounded by, so it's kind of just inevitable, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it sounds like it runs in the family, so to speak. You are a college student. What is your major, and how does that work into your entrepreneurial goals?
Yeah, so I actually go to college in Binghamton, so where I was born and raised. So I live at home. The university is not even a mile from my house. So it's a good situation where I'm not paying much to go to college. But I am in the School of Management, so the business school, just studying like marketing or normal things. But I'm definitely doing a lot more outside of college than I'm doing inside of college. But one thing I figured, and I kind of curated this answer after being asked this question so many times, is the reason I'm in college is because that's where the people I'm trying to help are. And by being in there, it allows me to have like a unique position over other people that are in the industry trying to, I guess, inspire and impact college students. So being in college helps me to obviously be surrounded by my target audience. And I mean, I'm not a huge fan of school. I don't love being there, but it definitely has helped me to grow up and to get better with time management. So
yeah. Well, I mean, at least you're honest. And I think a lot of people, they have an idea that they'll go to college, get a degree, go get a job. And people like you and like myself who went to college as entrepreneurs, we typically have a different perspective on why we're there and what we are trying to accomplish. And so I think all of that is very, very interesting. You are also the best-selling author of the book, What They Won't Teach You. Tell us a little bit about your book and who's not teaching us, who's not telling us the whole story.
Yeah, so again, even with the book, it was all born out of like, how can I help college students kind of realize what's going on right in front of their eyes that they're not realizing, which is the growth and the ease of access to entrepreneurship that is, in this modern age with the rise of technology and all the online tools and everything that is in place now to start a business is just like never been as easy as it is now or as accessible as it is now for an average college student to do something out of their dorm room. It's very feasible. And that all started in the first semester of college when I, was trying to find other people that thought like me because it's not really common, especially from the area I'm in now, Binghamton. There's really no one else my age, at least, that had the same mindset. So I really had this dire need to find a support group, I guess you could call it. And I failed at that in the first, few weeks of the semester at college. So rather than trying to find something right there in my backyard, I started a podcast with my buddy, and it was called Real Talk University. And basically, we set out to interview successful entrepreneurs to share their stories with those college students that surround us every day to basically show them and prove to them, like, look at what people are doing, look at what they're accomplishing, and here's actually how they did it, just to give them a little bit of inspiration and proof to maybe go and motivate them to pursue their own passion or their own entrepreneurial journey. And throughout that entire process, I've learned just so much interviewing these really cool entrepreneurs, made a great, so many great connections, great friendships, great experiences. And I really fell in love with that mission to really inspire young entrepreneurs that are mostly in college to pursue their passions and to do more with their time, because college, I mean, it takes up a lot of time, but I do a lot in college, and so can everyone else, and I just wanted to show people that. And I had the podcast, which was great, but I also knew that if I really was serious about this mission and this, goal of mine to inspire these students, that I had to double down and do whatever it took to spread that message even further. And the only other way I thought to do that was, all right, I had the podcast and the voice and the video, but now I needed written word. And at that same time, my mentor at the time challenged me to write a book, and all the pieces kind of fell right into place. And I guess in June 2019, this year, I published my first book. And it was a goal of mine too that I set at the beginning of the year, was to publish a book before I turned 20. So as a teenager. And I mean, it was a fun process. I wrote for, I think it was like 90 days consecutively, 2 days or 2 pages a day. That gave me like an 180, 190 page book. And it was a learn as you go process, like it is with entrepreneurship. You don't know everything going into it. You don't know where it's going to take you the next day, but it's a learning process. And that's kind of how it went. And it was a really awesome journey. And it definitely did help me to expand that message that I talked about earlier.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do once you've got the inspiration, the support, and then the work ethic to just sit down and work on it every day. And 90 days later, you've got a book in your hand. And so that's part of the entrepreneurial process as well, the creative process, putting and building your platform, your message, reaching out to people with print, with sound, with sight, all the things that you are doing, very inspiring and motivational, regardless of the age. And if you can do that while you're going to college, then it really sets a high standard that I think other people can aspire to. Your company is Incubate Media. Tell us a little bit about that, and who do you help what do you do there in that particular aspect of your entrepreneurship?
Yep. So when we started the podcast, again, it's like we were interviewing all these really cool entrepreneurs that were doing amazing things that I never even heard of until we got them on the interview. And me and my co-host, we were just learning so many different things through the process without even really realizing it. Like, we obviously wanted to promote the podcast to get more listeners, which helped us to learn social media marketing, website creation, blog posting, copywriting. So as we were doing the podcast and as we were trying to spread this message, kind of passively learning these new skills that people wanted and demanded, and small businesses needed and weren't doing to a high degree that we were doing it to. So through that whole process, it was just kind of funny how it worked. We just learned these really valuable skills, and we kind of found this area of need, especially locally, is right off the bat of, I need a better website. I need better copywriting. I need someone to manage my social media. And kind of, again, almost to double down on my journey and my message, I wanted to kind of pursue that in a business venture to show, again, people like, sure, here's everyone else that's doing it successful, but why don't I actually double down on my message and show you that I am also doing it and living it? And it's almost one of those things where it's like, I will take the action rather than preach to you and inspire you that way. So Incubate Media was just this full service agency that was born out of all the skills that I've developed through that 1.5 to 2 year process so far and to this day. And what I ended up doing was partnering up with my mentor that is local. So we partnered up. He also has a podcast, so he had a lot of these skills as well. So we partnered up and built this full service agency. And now at this point, we kind of have curated towards small businesses, authors, and entrepreneurs. And we help them with a whole multitude of things, whether it be reinventing their website so that it's cheaper and more effective, or building them a sales funnel for a new product launch so that it goes well and they hit their goals, their revenue goals and sales goals, or managing their social media so that they don't have to have, or be tied down to doing that, especially when it's not effective and it's not really worth their time. Doing press releases with our media partners, doing media production to help them write their own book and take them through the same process that I went through while I was writing my book in school as a full-time student, or even starting their own podcast like I did. So just so many different ways that we've been helping people. And then I haven't even talked about our flagship program, but our main product, I guess, is online course building. So again, the mission is to help college students and really anyone to self-educate them, because school is where you learn passively. And what I've found, and what a lot of people have clearly found, is that it's not an effective way to learn, especially in the gig economy, I guess you would call it, where it's just high in demand skills nowadays. So we want to create this new learning platform where you could learn from experts in an interactive style platform called Innovate University. So we have our own learning platform, and we also help others to build their own learning platforms, just to, I guess, again, double down on that whole mission behind helping others to self-educate and reach their ultimate goals and move towards their passions and what they do in life.
Very interesting. Innovate University. I love that. That's a great concept, great idea. So as you're helping people to unlock their entrepreneurial potential, particularly other college students or anyone who becomes a client of your media services, what would you say is the biggest challenge when you're trying to get people from where they are to where they want to be? What's the most common problem you run into?
I think it's very similar to the same problem that I had and that everyone else has before they kind of take it up a notch, and that's just shedding the limiting beliefs. So I think it's almost always something like that. So like when I first got into entrepreneurship and whatever, it was really small. Didn't really think we could interview all these big names. And the same thing with the book. I didn't think I could become an author, let alone a best-selling author. So at first it's just showing them this vision that we have for themselves, and also allowing them and making them feel confident in creating a vision for themselves that's bigger than what they originally pictured. And then from there, it's just doing something every day or every time you you're in a meeting or in a follow-up or whatever it is, to show them that you're working towards that. So I think definitely the biggest thing at first is to get them on board with a bigger vision, and then to build their trust over time, to show them that you are working towards that mission and that vision, and that things are getting done, numbers are moving, sales are being made, customers are being added, emails are being collected, whatever that goal may be. Show them results over time, and just make progress consistently, and continue to be there for them on a consistent basis. And it all comes down to just treating your people right, is what I've found.
Yeah, that right there is really foundational, I think, to everything that we're talking about, especially in this connected economy, this internet, social media driven economy. So the limiting beliefs of what's possible. How do we move beyond that? How can we cultivate this entrepreneurial mindset that goes beyond limitations, goes beyond the rules? As I say in our tagline, break the rules and build the business you need so you can live the life that you want. How do we move past that? How do you help your clients? How do you get yourself to move past those limiting beliefs that would try to hold you back?
Yeah, so I think the best way to kind of go about this question is to say from my own perspective, because obviously I can speak to that more than I can about my clients' perspectives.
Sure.
But just shedding the limiting beliefs for me was really just getting out of my own head, I guess you would say. And it's definitely not easy. Like, it's not just something that is, obviously it sounds easy, just shed your limiting beliefs, but it's not the easiest thing to do. But for me, like, plain and simple, it was just taking like immediate and massive action, right? And just completely ignore those beliefs rather than shed them. And by taking that action on something that makes you feel uncomfortable, that's the other aspect. So obviously take action, but also at the same time seek discomfort. So by putting myself in these unusual and uncomfortable positions that I wasn't used to, I was challenging myself to grow and to be better. And that opened up bigger doors for me and bigger opportunities, and continue to grow my mindset at the same time, to show me and say to me, like, here's what's possible, and here's where you're going, and here's, another sign of growth. So it's kind of something that's built over time. It's not like this one thing that you just say, I'm going to shed my limiting beliefs and they're gone. It's, again, like with anything, a process that you continue to build over time with consistency and taking action on things that discomfort you, I guess I would say.
Very interesting. And that is so counterintuitive to what everybody is saying. Everyone wants comfort and convenience. You're saying seek and discomfort. Put yourself in these uncomfortable situations and then take massive action to achieve your goals. And I want to ask you about this because I've got 2 adult daughters, and both of them are millennials. And so this is something that is interesting to me. Because I think your attitude, it does not accurately reflect the stereotypical millennial attitude that society is putting out there. And I'm wondering if that stereotype about millennials is wrong, or if you are just unique in your entrepreneurial spirit, that you're different from most millennials. But what would you say to that? Are millennials generally pre-wired for entrepreneurship, or is the stereotype correct that millennials just want to kind of hang out, get a job or not, and they're just not that entrepreneurial? How would you respond to that in terms of a generational assessment?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think there's really like a balance to that question, because like you could see both sides to it. And obviously I work with entrepreneurs, or at least that's my niche audience. So I see more of the entrepreneurship side of things. And I mean, look, we said at the beginning of the podcast, there's so many young entrepreneurs out there that are having just incredible success, which has never been seen before. And I think that just makes the point that the stereotype is kind of off, and they're missing a whole section of success and achievement that these entrepreneurs are having. And there's more of them than you think. And the millennials that fall into that stereotype only fall into there because it's what they're expected to become, I honestly think it all ties back into school, creating these standards for students to fit into and to conform to. And I talked about it on a podcast before, but I feel like schools need to create environments where students can feel comfortable to experiment, to fail, and to get better rather than be scared to, get bad grades and think that it's going to reflect their whole career. So, I mean, it obviously depends on what perspective you're looking at it with. But for me, I think that this generation has so much potential with the technology and the tools that they've grown up with. I just think schools have to back them. And even if it's not schools, the government, parents are huge. Parenting, I think, is the biggest aspect to all of this. But just creating environments to allow these students to pursue what they actually want to pursue, and then show them that it's okay to fail and that failure is needed to move forward, and that creativity is also needed, innovation is needed, and all these things are good rather than bad, and instead of conforming to, societal standards without not, it's not good to take risk. You should, go get a degree, get a job. This is how it's always been done because the world's changing. And with that, people need to change. And the sooner we kind of agree to that and move past that, then I think that's where things change for the better.
Well said. And that circles back around to the initial problem of needing to shed our limiting beliefs. So if you're listening to this and you're using age as a limiting belief in your life, either I'm too young, I'm a millennial, I can't do this, or in my case, someone who's a little bit older saying, well, I'm too old, I'm past my prime. It seems like we've got all kinds of excuses why something can't be done. And so part of this is shedding your limiting beliefs, not only in how society expects you to behave, but how you expect yourself to behave. Change your expectations, get out of your own head, seek discomfort, because success is usually on the other side of discomfort. So very, very fascinating, Andre. What are you working on right now that's got you really excited? You probably have a lot going on, but maybe you'd like to share something with our listeners.
Yeah, thank you for the compliments, by the way. I appreciate it. But a few things that I'm working on now. I'm working on my second book that's going to be called Push to Start. I don't have a ton of information on that now, but I am writing it. So that's exciting just because I know how fulfilling that first book was for me. So I'm really excited just to put that out there in 2020. And everything else just with Incubate Media and Innovate University, it's just been really exciting to be, in the process of building this company into something that can team up and partner with a lot of really cool entrepreneurs, authors, writers, speakers, local businesses, and really make an impact on their life and their goals. And just seeing it firsthand, it just gets me excited to scale that and hopefully be able to help more and more people in the year ahead. So,
and Andre, what is absolutely. Well, you've got a lot. You got a lot on your plate, and you are pursuing some very lofty dreams. And it sounds like you're making great progress towards those dreams. How can our listeners find out more about you, about Innovate University, and the other things that you've got going on?
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. If there's, if you guys want to get in contact with me or reach me or connect with me, that's the one thing that I love doing is meeting other entrepreneurs, talking to other people that have that same mindset. Again, that's where the podcast was born out of, is just, creating a community of like-minded people. I think is the strongest asset for any entrepreneur out there. So if you do want to find me, I think my most active platform is LinkedIn, and it's just Andre Haykal Jr. And really anywhere else. My book is on Amazon. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, any of the social media profiles. You could just look my name up on Google, Andre Haykal Jr., and I think everything about me should come up. So
perfect. Okay. Well, then we will put that link up on our Rebelpreneur website as well, so our listeners can connect with you, Andre. This has been really educational, and I hope it's inspirational and motivational to people of any age, but especially millennials. Don't just accept whatever labels that society puts on you. Look at these examples of success that Andre has talked about, and see what you can do with that. As Andre said, and I agree, I think we're living in one of the greatest opportunities ever with technology, with the internet. It has never been easier to get into business and really create value for other people. You are no longer limited by capital, by the geographic boundaries of wherever you are. The world is your marketplace. So get in there and make it happen. Andre, this has been really, really motivational for me. Any final thoughts or words of wisdom that you'd like to leave us with?
Just go out and make it happen. That's all it is taking action. So I appreciate you having me on, Ralph. That was a really fun time. So.
Absolutely. Well, Andre Haykal, he is a 20-year-old college student entrepreneur and best-selling author of What They Won't Teach You. You can look him up on LinkedIn, Google, and all the social media platforms to learn more. And so there you have it. Andre, thank you so much for being on Rebelpreneur Radio today and sharing your wisdom with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ralph. Really appreciate it. It's awesome time. So I hope people can get something out of it.
You've been listening to Rebelpreneur Radio with Ralph Brogden. Download the show notes and much more at rebelpreneur.com.